I've got the most awesome crusty old radio to look at on my bench today. This is an old police radio that was pulled out of an old police car and converted over for 6-meter ham radio use. I'm Rob, N1NUG, and this was dropped off here by my friend Bill, KC1JTS, who picked it up at a local ham fest because he knew I was a 6-meter fan and thought I'd love to take a look at it. Now, neither of us know whether or not it works, but I think everything is here. I've got the radio, the control head, the microphone, power cables, even an external speaker, and I've even got some notes from the original owner who presumably converted this thing. So hopefully we can get it powered up and on the air to try out. Let's see what happens. Here's a closer look at everything I got. This is the remote detachable control head, and this is designed to be kind of mounted up front in the dashboard or on the control stock of the police car. Everything you need to control the radio is here. Volume, squelch, channel, and some control buttons for scanning and monitoring, that kind of a thing. And then there's a channel readout right here. Now on the back of this thing is the microphone connection for the included Midland microphone. You can see this is nice and crusty and old and probably still even has police officer phlegm stuck in the grates there. But anyway, it connects up just like any other microphone. And then next to that is an accessory plug. And right now it is set up to work with this external speaker. You can see this Molex plug will plug into this Molex jack right here. And then up on top we have an IDC connector, which looks suspiciously like an old computer hard drive connector. And in fact, we get a ribbon cable that will plug into this connector and connect up to the body of the radio, which is down here. Now, of course, the body of the radio was designed to be mounted in the trunk of the car, out of the way so it wasn't taking up space in the cockpit, even though the old police cars had a lot more room than our modern cars do. And of course, if I lift this up, you can see it's got a carry handle on the front, so it can be easily removed from the car. There's sort of a bracket on here with buckles that you could mount to the car, and then this would kind of slide in and out. But anyway, if I lift this up, you can see here's the other end of the IDC cable here to connect to the control head. And then if we spin this around next to the massive heatsink, we've got a Molex power plug, which I happen to have here. The wire is a little bit stiff, but it should still work. And then, of course, we've got the SO239 jack for an antenna. And then in the box that Bill dropped off, I even got this mounting bracket for the control head. You can see this would kind of fit right up on here like this. And then this piece down here would no doubt mount to your transmission tunnel kind of down next to the driver's seat. But we're not going to use that today, so I'm going to set that aside for now. Now, from the sheet that was supplied with the radio, it looks like the conversion from police radio to amateur radio was done by WA1NVC. And luckily for us, he wasn't lazy like I am. And he took the time to write up a nice instruction sheet on how to set up and use the radio. And then on the second page, he also left us a list of frequencies that are programmed into this thing currently. So let's take a closer look at his instructions and kind of go through them and get the radio set up and see if it'll power up. Everything looks like a big giant mess at this point, and really that's because it is. But I've got everything connected up the way that it should be, at least as far as I can tell. The last thing to do is connect up the power wire, and I wanted to do that on camera so that you could see what happens in real time, just in case we get a nice fireball out of this thing. Okay, so the power supply is off. I'm going to plug that in, and of course it's not going to do anything until we turn the power supply on. So I'm going to stand back over here as far as I can, and I'm going to flick on the power supply and hope we don't get any smoke or fire. Now, the moment of truth. Let's turn the radio on and see if it turns on. Nothing. This thing is dead. Take two. Let's try it now. And there you go. It turns right on and powers up. So the problem ended up being me. I had forgotten to connect up, or didn't know that I needed to connect up, this pink wire that's on the Molex connector on the back of the remote head to power. So once I put a jumper in and connected that up to 12 volts, radio now turns on, and it sounds like it's working. When I first turn it on, it's obviously receiving static. If I turn the squelch up, we should be able to get rid of that. So that seems to be working okay. Now there is this monitor button, which is currently, I guess, enabled. It's pushed in and the yellow light is turned on. But if I turn this down so you can hear the static again, I'll turn the squelch down actually. And if I click that, you can see the squelch goes away. If I enable the priority button, you can see the radio starts scanning. I don't think it's scanning all of the channels. I think it's scanning certain ones that are labeled priority. If I unclick that, it stops scanning and goes back to the channel we were tuned to. If I push in the scan button, now it scans all of the channels. And if I bring that out, again, it goes back to the channel I was tuned to. And if I click the tuning control, you can see I can advance or go back to whatever channel I want to. Speaking of channels, I'm going to bring back in the cheat sheet. So it looks like from the sheet, channel 1 is programmed to 52525, which is the national simplex or calling channel for 6-meter FM. So we'll tune down to channel 1 and we'll give it a try and see if we can transmit. We'll keep an eye on the power meter here. I'm set to the 200 watt scale since I think this radio is capable of 100 watts. So that means we're going to be looking at this scale right here, the first one below the red scale on top of the meter face. Now I'm not sure if this is the most accurate meter in the world or not, but it looks like we're putting out about 75 watts, which correlates to some notes that are in the cheat sheet here that says that the radio was turned down from 100 watts to 75 watts. Now let's check out the receiver. I've still got this hooked up to the dummy load, but it should be able to receive a signal from a radio on the other side of the room that's connected up to an outside antenna that's really not that far away. In other words, we should get enough signal even through the dummy load to be able to determine whether or not the receiver is working. So let's try that now.
N1 NUG testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. N1 NUG clear.
Now I'll repeat the process. I'll transmit on the Midland and let you listen on the ICOM, and we'll see how the transmit audio on the Midland sounds. Again, it's still on the dummy load, but it should generate enough signal for the ICOM to receive. Let's see what happens.
N1 NUG testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. N1 NUG clear.
Based on our initial tests, the radio seems to be working pretty well. So I'd like to get an antenna on this and see if we can make a real over-the-air live contact with somebody. My 6-meter antenna, which is an M2 5-element Yagi, is cut for the sideband portion of the band. So I'm going to need to bring in a tuner to match that antenna to the radio before we can use it, and it's horizontally polarized. I'm willing to bet that all of these repeaters are vertically polarized. So we're going to have a little bit of polarization path loss due to that. But we're going to try it anyway. What the heck, we got nothing else to do. So I'll bring the tuner in, get everything set, and then we'll go through it together and see if we can make a contact. So I got a hold of a local ham friend of mine, and we're going to try a simplex test. He's, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles away, maybe, something like that, maybe 3, I'm not sure. Either way, we should be able to hear each other on simplex. So I've asked him to listen for me over here on 52525, and let's see if it all works out.
Okay, whenever you're ready. I am here, 52.525 FM, KB10YB.
KB10YB, N1 NUG. How copy?
Beautiful. Excellent audio. A little, and it doesn't matter. When you keyed the mic, you get a little scratchy noises. And then, of course, your audio is clear as a bell and the scratchy's gone. And when you let go of the mic, the same thing. So I don't think that means anything, but otherwise, perfect audio. No sense talking about signal strength, but nice. Sounds good.
Okay, yeah, you're full quieting over here as well. And I'm not surprised about the scratchiness. This whole radio is kind of old and scratchy.
N1, NUG, KC1, JTS.
Hey, and there's Bill. I can hear Bill, KC1 JTS. How you doing? This is your radio. It seems to be working good.
Yeah, I heard you guys downstairs while I was watching TV, so I thought I'd run up and, I'm running 100 watts.
from the list of frequencies that are programmed into this thing, there is still a repeater in my local area that's still on the air and on the frequency and uses the listed CTCSS tone. I was able to key up that repeater and I was able to receive it. I heard the Morse code ID come back. Unfortunately, I didn't have the camera on when I did that. But I'm going to key it up again. I'm going to throw my call sign out this time and see if anybody's around. I know that this repeater is active. That beeping confused me. I thought something was coming from the radio, but it was actually my meter timing out. Anyway, I'm going to try and key up that local repeater now. Let's see if we can get anybody to come back to us. N1 NUG testing. You probably heard the squelch tail. It seems like it's working. I've thrown my call out a few times now and nobody's coming back to me. I guess nobody's around, but it seems like I'm keying up the repeater. I'm going to leave it on here monitoring, and I'm sure at some point we'll be able to connect with somebody. K1 IFF, N1 NUG.
Station, try it again. You're very, very noisy. K1 IFF.
K1 IFF, N1 NUG. Am I making it in the machine?
Here's somebody calling me, but still can't pull you out. Try again.
Okay, I'll try one more time. N1 NUG. Am I making the repeater?
I hear a voice in there, but you're still right down on the noise floor.
Unfortunately, it sounds like I'm hearing the repeater a lot better than I'm getting into it. And I'm sure a big part of the problem is the fact that my antenna is horizontal and the repeater's antenna is vertical. So if I had a vertical antenna, I'd probably be able to get into it. Better yet, if I was able to reprogram the radio, I'd be able to program in the local repeater, which is only a few miles away, and part of this linked system. And I'd be able to kind of get into it that way. But unfortunately, I don't have the programmer, so I can't do that. With that being said, this radio seems like it's working pretty well and makes the case for those free or low-cost Hamfest finds that you can kind of bring home and kind of play with and just have some fun with. Yeah, I mean, this radio doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a modern radio or the usability for that matter, but getting it on the bench and getting it working is still a ton of fun. So if you come across something like this in your travels, I highly recommend that you pick it up and give it a try. You might have some fun with it. Let me know what you think down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. 7-3, and thanks for watching.